Welcome, welcome. Tonight I have a special guest, Brother Taalib, who is here to discuss why ADOs should not live among each other. And I'm going to let him get started telling us why ADOs should not live among each other.
Right. Thanks, sister, for allowing me on this panel tonight. I'm your soul brother, Taalib, as you know, assistant to our number one soul brother, Angel Snup Snup 7, on Reality Temple on Earth, and also / Operation Exodus, Mississippi. The reason I thought to bring up this topic because first of all, the other night I was listening to you and Brother Taalik, when y'all was putting the Black conscious community on trial, right? And however, knowing where your disposition is as far as dealing with other indigenous Black Americans as well, which is kind of a similar thing that I can identify with, like me and you have discussed in the past. I thought it would be a good idea that I would come up with this topic and me and you could, expand on it to the public to, raise the awareness, you know what I'm saying, of those soul people who feel like they have to be, around other dark-skinned people for whatever reason, when because of the condition that we're in, it does not make that so necessary right now at this time. And it's not like we are, in control of a state. You know what I'm saying? Which is an agenda our campaign is pushing, of course, the Mississippi campaign. And I feel like at this point in time, until we get in the position to where we got power, to where we could control laws that even the racists got to respect, when we can, you know what I'm saying, control our own money, well as make it, where we could control other facets of our life, where at that point we become a free people, where we're no longer under the control of another group of people, especially that don't have no best interest for us, as we could see going on over 400 years and on to now almost 500 years. I feel at this point in time, especially as a long-time activist in the struggle and liberation for dark-skinned people of soul in this country, who are also preferably called dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America, I have to say that at this point in time right now, I just don't feel that it's necessary that even us as individuals, or whether we're groups or just as a community, because we have no community. Let me just track back on that. We don't have no community. It's no such thing as no indigenous Black American community. Okay, it's no such thing. And by the way, when the crack cocaine era came to, after COINTELPRO destroyed our powerful organizations, which seemed to have some type of kind of, presence in trying to unite us as a people. And then, like I said, going further on, futuristically after that, when they put the heroin and the crack cocaine into our community, that just blew the rest of whatever little integrity and unity we had as a people and as a community out the window. Okay. And upon my own travels throughout this country, from the history of knowing where we were during the civil rights struggle, and even before the civil rights struggle, like during Jim Crow and stuff like that, and fast forward and then back to now in the present, I have to say that you know, we shouldn't necessarily have to live amongst each other, especially due to the conditions that we face amongst each other. When you want to talk about the gang violence, when you want to talk about drug addiction, the peddling and distribution of drugs in our community, even at the hands of so-called leadership in our community and religious leadership in our community, which I know about for a fact because I come from one of those urban metropolitan areas with stuff like that goes on at. And, I'm just saying, I don't, like someone told me, so-called Black people shouldn't have to feel, a need to be around other Black people for protection because you're just not going to get it there. And that's just the reality of it. The way that the Peckerwood was killing us and lynching us, especially our ancestor coming out of chattel slavery on up to the 60s, it's the same thing that we doing to each other. Although we doing it in the form of picking up AK-47s, 45s, you know what I'm saying, Glocks, and other, lethal arsenal weapons. You know what I'm saying? That the government as well as law enforcement even dump off in our communities so we could kill each other off. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said, that definitely has brought me to the point that, well, what is the need of going around, living around other Black people, especially in poverty or in the hood, when our elders, we talking about people that fought for us during the civil rights movement. They even had a little so-called civil rights we have today that's being pushed back. We don't even respect them enough. That's why we got fools breaking into people like Rosa Parks' house. It was another lady in Atlanta, that was robbed by some young, thug. You know what I'm saying? Didn't even know this lady marched with Martin Luther King and all kind of stuff. Just ran up on her, punched her, and snatched her pocketbook. You know what I'm saying? That's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like, what makes us feel like we need to be among each other? It's like being in a zoo. And that's just the reality of it. I've lived in other communities around other ethnic groups of people, whether it was Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Mexicans, you know what I'm saying? I've even been around Black immigrants like Jamaicans, Trinidadians. And they got an ignorant side to them, but they don't even carry on like we do. You see what I'm saying? So, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And we just have that. We have just grown to have that much self-hatred for each other. So this is why when people used to tell me in the conscious community that, you know what I'm saying, it's best to stick among your own kind. At one time, I was bought on and sold on that. But I'm no longer bought and sold on that, because I even learned that in the conscious community, they not even united. They killing each other, selling each other poison, dope. You know what I'm saying? Pimping each other, molesting leadership, molesting children in their organization, like the so-called leader I once followed, Dr. Malachi York. You know what I'm saying? Then you got idiots like the late Yahweh Ben Yahweh. When they found out about the policies of his organization, he had his ex-followers killed when they started exposing his fallacies and stuff, sent out his goons and chopped their heads off. But not one time did they ever chop off a Caucasian's head. The same one they run around all the time calling the devil. The same thing like with the Nation of Islam when they killed Malcolm X and others. See, people don't talk about that too much, where they was killing others who questioned their belief in Master Farad Muhammad. Yeah, people came up missing behind that and wasn't never seen again. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, how can we even how can we even say that we're a community? We the neighborhoods that we live in amongst each other's majority in certain parts of the country is just like war zones in Iraq somewhere or Syria. Or like probably what the Palestinians going through over there in Palestine, in Israel. That's why I disposition that as so-called indigenous Black Americans, because of how we fighting amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? And then when I point that out, you have some, especially in the conscious community, say, well, it ain't like it is over in the continent. Well, trust me, if this wasn't the United States of America, and if it wasn't certain laws and boundaries, it'll be just as worse as the dark-skinned indigenous people that are killing and wiping each other out in the continent. Okay? But you still have certain laws and balances in place in the United States. That's kind of slowing that up, but it's just as a whole lot of us still killing each other over here. So, I have to agree with that and I have to disagree with that as well. But like I said before, it's so sad because, you talk about all the so-called fathers, I call them sperm donors, okay? But all the so-called fathers out there, who pumped babies into these sisters, left them, went on and did the same thing with other sisters or women, and now you got a community, a so-called community, or a generation of fools that's raising each other on the street because of them being fatherless as well as even motherless. You know what I'm saying? Because women who no longer want to lay their babies on church steps like they did when I was a baby, or just turn them in over for adoption. Now they throw them in garbage can dumpsters and leave them for dead like that. You see what I'm saying? That kind of stuff, or sell them for crack or whatever, or sell them for sex or whatever the case is, trafficking, sell them off to be humanly trafficked and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, this goes on with the indigenous Black community, okay? So like I said before, yes, this is the reason why I say we should not live amongst each other. That's why I say we should not, until we come to a point that we have respect and love for each other, then that's when we can start working together to build a new reality, such as taking control of a state. Yes, we take control of a state. Yes, we could fully, more effectively address that problem. But because of our divide, that's so bad, we can't even come together and begin from there because of so much division. And it's a damn shame.
Now, let me ask
and
you
I'll be honest with
Let me ask you this question. So are you saying first of all, a lot of us don't have a whole lot of money. We got to get where we have to get. Because a lot of us don't have a whole lot of money. So that's why we're stuck in these communities, because a lot of us just don't have a whole lot of money. You know what I mean? So
And
secondly, are you saying that because they're gonna obviously your socio-economic background determines where you end up living many times. You understand what
yeah,
I'm
that's
saying?
true. Yeah,
So unfortunately, a lot of us's live in communities full of sociopaths and psychopaths. And a prime example of what I'm talking about is I was watching a video earlier today, and in the video I found out that a Christian couple in Chicago had their eyes gouged out because a black man had walked up to them about some watches, and they said they don't want it. They don't want it. So the
were
guy
these black?
came
Were
back
these other
and
blacks?
attacked both of them. The
I
guy
just
came
got
back and
one.
attacked both of them and gouged out both of their eyes. It was a black man. And
Okay, were the
that's
victims
just
black?
one example of what I'm talking about. That's just one
Okay,
example. One
okay.
of many examples of people that look like you and I that are living in fear of these monsters that are among us. And I'm gonna be honest and really, really blatant when I say this. A lot of y'all, not you, I'm saying just in general, a lot of
Mhm.
y'all need to be chemically castrated.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't need to be allowed to procreate and reproduce yourselves because many of you are not fit to be you're not fit to be parents. You're not fit to
Yes,
birth. You're not fit to birth a child into this world. And that go
yes,
for the men and the women. And it ain't. I'm just telling you. I'm talking about the men. They
yes,
a lot of y'all need to be chemically castrated. Okay.
yes.
And I say that with all sincerity. I hope I don't offend anyone in this chat room tonight when I say that. Uh, but that's what I believe should happen, because a lot of folks don't need to be parents. A lot of y'all don't need to birth children into this world because you're not psychologically and you're not financially prepared to have a child. You're not psychologically and you're not financially prepared to have a child. A lot of y'all did not get any unconditional love when you were children, and you're having children in which you're leaving them to fend for themselves in an already psychotic society. And I just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay. Now I just want to just address that one thing which you were saying about us, some of us not being financially able to get it from among, animalistic type of folks like that, like you just mentioned with the situation in Chicago. Well, I have to say that I'm really talking to those who can do that, because yes, I understand that all of us is not in that type of position to do that, but I'm just saying there are a number of us, some of us out there who can afford to do that. So if you can afford to do that, I encourage you to do so. And furthermore, I also want to say too, oh yeah, I wanted to mention, because you brought that up, sister, about that situation in Chicago, just in Milwaukee, which is right north of Chicago. Um, I just found out it was a couple of days ago. Willie D put out a video on his channel about a brother. Well, he ain't a brother. I call him a zimp. But anyway, this nigga killed his own 5-year-old son with a blunt at the force of a blunt blow to his head. And I think his damaged his kidneys and a couple other parts of his body over a slice of damn cheesecake. Now this nigga facing 30 years in the penitentiary, okay? Over killing his own 5-year-old son over a punk ass piece of cheesecake. And the mother knew what the hell was going on, and she should be held responsible for that too, from what I understood about that situation, okay? So he's waiting to be sentenced. And the nigga, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and I usually don't use that word, but I got to say some of us do fit that title because it's the horrendous, preposterous stuff that we do, especially to each other. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, a lot of us fit that title. That we fit the category of that title very well. But I must say that at the same time, you know, like Willie D even said, it was just one of these states that's thinking about bringing back the firing squad. And you know what? I'm like this. I understand. I used to be incarcerated. I understand what it's all about. You know, it's nothing pleasant about that whatsoever. Okay. But, and I don't wish that on nobody for any, just no reason. But I'm going to tell you something. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you like this here. Some people need to be in there. And also, and there's a lot of people, some of a lot of people need to be in there, as a matter of fact. And also, I think that if they do decide to bring back the firing squad in some of these states, you know, and put them on display in front of the public and just half at it with them, I think that might put the so-called fear of God in a lot of these niggas. Since they like to pick up guns anyway, since they quick to pick up guns anyway, you know what I'm saying? You know, so hey, you know, as far as them doing something like that, hey, I'm like this. A lot of reasons, and see what the Black conscious community don't touch up on neither, is this. Is that a lot of reason that they be tightening up laws in the so-called penal system or the criminal justice system of this country is because of undesirables from among us and in its society in general that be doing so much hideous stuff out this world. And that's just the truth. And if I offend somebody in the comment section who's watching this live, hey, I have to say I'm unapologetic about that because that's the truth. You know, and I mean, at the same time, you know, yeah, you know, I can be serious because it is very serious. This is very serious. We are so much killing each other right now and committing violence upon each other that all this stuff, even with the George Floyd situation, you know, taking place, even with this cop getting found guilty for killing him, you know, people is causing people's focus to be reverted away from the reality of how serious black on black crime is and how we not quick to address that. Like we quick to address the situation when some racists blowing the N-words head off or something. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that do need to be addressed. Okay? That needs to be addressed. That needs to definitely be addressed. You know? And a lot of times, and I'm not saying all these people that get killed by the police is not innocent, but there's a lot of them that put themselves in those situations or open up doors for those situations to happen to them anyway, which ain't no excuse either. Okay? So, I mean, you know, like I said before, this just adds on to more reason why, you know, that indigenous Black Americans are better off not even being existing around each other. And for those who can afford to move from around each other, like I say, I encourage you to do so. Do that. Because hey, listen, we listen, at least you know, even if you move around a bunch of Caucasian races, at least you know, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. But somebody that look like you, you know, you wouldn't want to expect the same repercussions or the same circumstances to come about every time you walk out your door. You know what I'm saying? Well, we calling each other by the N-word much as they are. You know, blowing each other head off because they don't like the N-word and he look like you or she look like you. Or for some petty reason because somebody stared at you or glanced at you. Or because somebody bumped into you or stepped on your Jordans by mistake. Oops, but I gotta pop you anyway. You see what I'm saying? So yes, I can be very serious. Okay? When you got Negroes like Michael Jordan who pushing out his product and ain't even giving a damn about how many people that look like him is dying over his product. Okay? So yes, I can be serious. You don't see that many white boys killing each other over no damn Jordans. And there's plenty of them that wear Jordans, okay? So don't sit up here. So I don't want to hear that about I'm serious. Yes, I'm very serious. As a matter of fact, you know what? This is why I can't even blame people like this one sister in this video I saw. I forget what her channel is, but this sister is located in the state of Idaho, a predominant Caucasian state out west. Okay. And she said one of the reasons she relocated there was because she had to get away from the nigger-fired riffraff where she came from in Florida. Okay? And who could blame her? And like she said too, you got people like these Black YouTube social media pundits telling Black people don't move to them white states like Utah or Idaho. Well, hell, you know what different? You know where they gonna feel safe at? They can't feel safe in Alabama or Georgia or Florida or New York or Michigan or Illinois. So they got to go where they could feel safe and where they could try to secure at least a more safer future for themselves and their families. And ain't nothing wrong with that. That's just common sense when it comes to self-preservation. Okay? So, like I said before, hey sister, who is that in the comment section you just put up there?
My bad. I'm sorry. Mark Livingston. Mark Livingston.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, is there any book, religious book, historical document, or other that teaches to love as a necessity? Because that's what ADOS needs in order to live or live together. And my response to that is, I don't see any love happening among ADOS. And while the Bible teaches love, the Bible itself teaches to love your enemies. But see, your enemies, the ones that you're taught to love, which is your enemies, have not followed biblical teachings themselves. They have gone against biblical teachings and have enslaved entire peoples, entire groups, for economic gain. They have gone against the very principles that they taught to slaves, which is to love your masters. They've gone against those very principles. I'm talking about our enemies have gone against those very biblical principles themselves while teaching us to love our enemies. They never loved. They never treated us historically as their equals. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm going to let you finish, brother, saying what you had to say.
Yes, sister. Yeah, and I mean, you know, and going back to what the sister said, how in the hell is you gonna tell black people where they should move to and where they should go live at anyway? This the United States of America. They should be able to go live anywhere they want to live, right? So, I mean, because you say that so-called ADOS go move to Idaho or the Montana or the Wyoming somewhere, you know what I'm saying? You know, all of a sudden now they selling out. You know, they running from theyself. Wait, first of all, let me tell you something. You know, they living around a bunch of other so-called ADOS, and they living in fear every day. So whether they around a bunch of ADOS or not, I mean, what difference do it make when you say they running from themselves? You know what I'm saying? So I just can't get with that logic. It's not reality. It's not realistic, period. So, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you know, and as far as these biblical scripture books and stuff, we got all that in the so-called black community, and it still ain't stopped us from doing each other, you know, terrible as a people. It still ain't stopped us from killing each other over drugs, over, oh, you looked at my woman, oh, you looked at my man. So I got to put a slug in you to blow your noodle back or something. You know what I'm saying? You know, that type of mentality. Or nigga, because I don't like you because you from the other side of town. Well, the ethnic group act like that toward each other on a massive scale in this country. You know what I'm saying? You know, or you can't, you know, I got to blow your head off because you ain't from this block, or you know, because you got your hat turned away another way, because you wearing a different color of clothes, or because you know you wearing different type of colored gym shoes and all this old crazy stuff, or I got to blow your head off because you from another city, you from another state, or you from another part of the country. I don't like, or some old kind of stuff like that. Yeah. And you know what's so sad about it? Because when I did time in the penitentiary, I seen this same mentality prevalent all the time, where you had guys like, okay, when I did time in the state of Georgia, right? You had guys from Atlanta, you had guys from Savannah, which is another big city in Georgia. And they was always fighting each other over geographic difference. Because, you know, you from Atlanta, this brother from Augusta or Valdosta or Albany or Columbus don't like you. So now you got the whole state of Georgia at you. You know, so now you got to contend with a whole bunch of other brothers, you know, trying to stab you on the penitentiary yard because of where you from. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I used to look at them white inmates and the Caucasian inmates, and they used to sit back and laugh at you. I mean, and they got along with each other, no matter what part of the state they was from. They got along with each other. At least they stuck together. And even if they had problems, they talked about it behind closed doors. You didn't see it all the time, all out in the forefront, like you seen among black inmates. You know what I'm saying? But that's some of the most stupidest stuff that we could do, is kill each other over geographical differences. You know what I'm saying? So this is the reason why I say, you know, and I even say I salute those black American expats who decided to leave the United States, not only because of racism, because they wanted to get away just for being amongst the riffraff over here in this country. not necessarily just because of race, but because of what we have to still deal with amongst each other. That's why many of them left America, whether they might immigrated to Africa, Europe, Asia, wherever they at in some other part of the world. They decide to get the hell away from here. Okay. And then you got other, and what's so crazy is what I don't like about other Black Americans is that you call other Black Americans who are descendants of slaves in this country, born in this country, cowards for leaving America. Who are you to call them cowards? You don't, you haven't created no situation for them to want to stay here anyway. So who are you to even run your mouth and call them something like that? You know? So my thing is that, it's like this here. That's why even if I was to get deep into the social media stuff, a lot of people couldn't you wouldn't be able to get along with me because we totally opposites, especially in Black YouTube land from what I could see. Because a lot of you talk about stuff that's nefarious, you talk about a bunch of bull crap that don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the pro-Black conscious community, you want to debate about, who got the most money, who got the most better houses, cars, and y'all supposed to be Black conscious, right? And get out of here with that mess. You know what I'm saying? I know some Black conscious cats selling dope. I done seen it with my own eyes. Hey, peace, God. Hey, I got this. I got these pearls. 2 for 1. You know what I'm saying? And sell them to another brother that's supposed to be similarly on the same page with them when it comes to that Black conscious stuff. I done seen it with my own eyes. You know what I'm saying? So like I said before, how's them teachings, the supreme wisdom teachings even reforming you? When you still sell poison to your own fellow brother. And I ain't just talking about who you refer to as the 85% of lost and found. I'm talking about brothers that believe in the same thing that you believe in, or at least if they not in the same organization, they believe in the same God or the same similar concepts that you believe in, which is supposed to be about liberating us as a people, right? But you will sell them poison or even blow their head off over some poison or some other stupid stuff. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Just whether it goes on in the penitentiary, it goes on out here too. So yeah, that's among many reasons why I say that Black Americans are better off not even existing around each other. You know what I'm saying? At least in a Caucasian neighborhood, I could walk down the street. I ain't got to worry about no nigger walking up to me, not in no well-off, Caucasian area or establishment. I ain't got to worry about no Negro walking up to me talking about, hey man, check that in or break yourself. You know what I'm saying? Or where you got to pull out a burner and go to work and catch a case. Because a nigga trying to take your stuff. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, hey, it is what it is, as someone would say. So, I just want, and see, the thing is that, y'all don't see me on social media that much. As y'all may see our sister right beside me, Sister Noble, and our brother Angel Snup 7. Because I don't have time for debates. a frivolous talk. If I get on here, I'm talking about something real, like taking control of a state, which would definitely, be the, equalizer to the problems that we're talking about on this live panel. You see what I'm saying? But however, I don't get caught up in that other stuff. I rarely even, get on other platforms with them, like with Sister Kara, because at least she talks, sense, when it comes to certain things dealing with us socially as a people, So, like I said, I really don't have no space or tolerance for a bunch of bull crap. I've been through enough. I've lived over half a century. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot, and it is for a reason. I ain't even supposed to be here. I'm talking about alive. You know what I'm saying? And to you younger brothers or sisters who may be listening, y'all need to take heed to what's being said on this live panel, because it's real out here. We hate each other worse than the Caucasian hate us today in 2021, and that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said before, I would encourage those, dark-skinned people or so-called black people, to if you could afford to. Matter of fact, if you could afford to move to a state where it ain't that many of us at, do that. If you could afford to even move the hell out the country just to get away from other so-called Negroes, especially ones that ain't nothing but parasites. And what's that word, sister, you be using, or that other word you be using, form? Sociopaths amongst us. Yeah, yeah. If you got to do that, go that far to get away from us, then do it. Yeah, I encourage that. And I could care less what someone says, what they think about it, and as far as opposition go, because I've seen enough in my lifetime to know that just like a brother named Nilly Fully Jr. said, a lot of us better off not even talking to each other, because half the time we don't even got nothing civil to say to each other, So, yes, and that's your prerogative, my brother. You have that right to disagree. But I also have the right to get on here and put the truth out there like it is, with facts and receipts to go with it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's your right to disagree, But like I said, this is for those who are willing to open up their eyes to understand, to open up their minds, to investigate this, what I'm saying.
I'm going to share a little bit. I'm going to share a little bit about this article that I wrote.
Go ahead,
just
sister.
To put it in proper perspective, I'm going to share a little bit about this article that I wrote, just to put it in proper perspective, because I think a lot of us is in denial. I think a lot of us is in denial when it comes to the many issues that plague the black folks, the soul brother and sister in this country. That plague the black folks. I want to point this out. Hello?
Sister.
Remove this person.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I got it. Okay, hey, take yourself off mute.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, brother, how you doing? Would
I'm
you
doing all right.
like to expound on something? You know, you said you disagree with the brother. I was going to share a little bit of an article that I wrote, and let me just share this article before you say what you got to say, because I
Well,
think a lot of us is in denial about a lot of things that plague Black people in this country, that plague us in our own neighborhood, and I just want to share just a little bit, just a little bit of this article. And then I'm gonna let you have the floor, Neophyte, okay? Now, put
after that,
yourself on mute. Yeah, put yourself on mute so I can go ahead and read this article. Put yourself on mute, okay? Neophyte, Brother Taalib, put yourself on mute.
All
I'm
right.
just gonna, Brother Taalib, put yourself on mute. I'm gonna just share a little bit about this article because I think a lot of us is in denial. I wrote this article called "You Should Be Castrated and Not Allowed to Procreate." Okay, I'm just gonna share just a little bit of it. The rise of the Black female sociopath is the consequence of not only poor parenting, but parents who never should have been allowed to procreate. Not only should males in this society be psychologically and chemically evaluated before being deemed fit to reproduce offspring, but once they have failed as parents, they should be chemically castrated and cut off from reproducing further offspring. Your child is a representative of you. If your child is already violent at age 6, sexual and or physical trauma or abuse, or he or she is chemically imbalanced. There are variable factors which causes chemical imbalance in the brain. Unfortunately, many children are born psychopaths, and if she lives with a mother or father or both parents who are normal and does everything they can to provide emotional, financial, and physical support, and also guidance, nurture, and love, then the chemical imbalance in your child's brain is a cause of other factors outside of the parent's control. Okay, I just wanted to share that. And, I'm going to stop there and let Neophyte have the floor. Go ahead, Neophyte.
okay, just with that article by itself, I want to get that out of the way because I have quite a few different things that I want to share. 1916 is when we have the first Planned Parenthood. So this idea of being chemically castrated has already been around for quite a while, right? And especially in our neighborhoods, right? Before we even get a chance to actually enjoy what little freedoms we actually were granted by this quote unquote emancipation, they had already had plans on castrating us. As a matter of fact, once they saw that we were multiplying in the plantations, they needed a way to be able to control that. So they had already been planning on trying to castrate us, plague us with different quote unquote chemical imbalances. This is generational. These things are generational, and we're living with that today. Most of us are living with being a byproduct of the 80s. And we already know what the CIA and the FBI had done to that generation. Well, now we're in 2020. If we're not putting these tactics that were formed against us, I'm not saying weapons, I'm saying tactics that were formed against us in our mindset, that we know that these are obstacles, then yeah, you're probably absolutely right. However, these are still weapons, and I do not believe that we need to go ahead and bend over and give into what has been already programmed into us. We have to figure out a way to get out of that mindset. This is not a matter of just going against the conscious community. This is actually putting some consciousness into us. We are allowing ourselves to be exterminated on a massive scale. and calling it black on black crime. I'm not understanding how we can't see that if you are white in a white neighborhood and you are killed by another white person, that is not white on white crime. Every nation has this. It's proximity. You live in the neighborhood amongst other people. You're confined, you're condensed in a small neighborhood. You're going to have these issues that come about. It's crime. It shouldn't be defined of whether or not it's black or white, but only when it comes down to black people is it distinguished that way. Only then. I haven't seen it out any other place. I haven't seen it in China where we have Chinese on Chinese crime or yellow on yellow crime. No, it's just crime. And to my last point, before I digress, is that I regularly travel through sundown towns where black people shouldn't be there, and they'll make it known. I travel through them all the time. As a matter of fact, I'm settling down in Nebraska right now, and let me tell you, this ain't somewhere black people need to be. Not by they lonesome. You come out here if you want to, thinking, oh, I'm just going to be a happy old black dude. No. They still lynch people out here and make it known. So trying to separate from ourselves, we're just giving in to the mousetrap. We're giving in to the maze. All right, I digress.
Okay, let me address that real quick.
I have a question before you ask that question, brother. I have a question. Operation Exodus Mississippi campaign asked, what is the purpose and benefit of having babies when you live under the domination of another people?
Be fruitful and multiply. I don't know. This notion of a dominant society, they already know that they're losing that little bit of control that they think they have. They actually have to continue building these towns outside of the primary cities so that they can try to figure out how the hell their race is going to survive. They've already bred themselves into a distinction pattern. Us being able to continue flourishing as black people do drowns out what little power they think they have. It's just my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm putting the black consciousness community on trial.
I agree. They need to be put on trial, and they need to have their feet put to the flames. However,
anybody understands the pro-black consciousness community and the BS that they have going on there. Okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't need anybody telling me I need to be conscious or I am unconscious because I won't be a part of the pro-black consciousness community. Okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That's all. Go ahead and say what you got to say, Brother Taalib.
Brother, yeah, I want to address what the brother was just saying. Okay, first of all, I've been around the United States too. And by the way, brother, I live here in Nebraska. Matter of fact, in the state capital of Nebraska. Okay.
I feel so sorry for you.
Okay. And however, I am originally from back east, from a major city called Detroit, Michigan. Okay. But however, let me say this here. Okay, I've been here almost 7 years, okay? And I know exactly what you're talking about, far as Nebraska, okay? And I'm not, docile or naive to this situation, okay? And I'm very much aware. I walk out here every day, breathing and understanding my circumstances. But one thing, let me say this. I've also, like I said before in this early broadcast of this panel, that I've been amongst other ethnic communities, whether they've been Caucasian, Italian, Irish, or Chinese, or West Indian, who are considered Black immigrants, like Jamaicans, Trinidadians, Africans, Hispanics. And yes, there's a level of violence that go on in each of those ethnic or racial communities, but nowhere compared to the situation amongst indigenous Black Americans, okay? I was raised as a child in Lower Manhattan, okay? Around, matter of fact, near Chinatown, right near Greenwich Village, Little Italy, you know what I'm saying? And you couldn't compare that with Harlem. You couldn't compare that with the South Bronx or with the Bensonhurst section of Brooklyn, the Flatbush section of Brooklyn, okay? It just don't compare. Yes, it had its level. Listen, hold up. It had its level of ignorance, okay? But nothing to that effect, where you know where there are Black people located at, okay, in certain parts of different metropolitan areas or cities around this country, okay? I've been to the little white hick towns, even here in Nebraska, okay, like Kearney, Grand Island. I know exactly what you're talking about. I even been, as a matter of fact, even worse. I was down in Fayetteville, Arkansas, okay? You know, in the South, in the same state my grandparent was from, okay? I've been to a little small hick town like in Oklahoma, okay? So, hey, let me tell you, I know, okay? I walked, hitchhiked down U.S. Highway in South Georgia, where they had half a noose hanging off a tree. But you know what? When you go around these people, you know, okay, what you face with. But when you amongst us, you get very lax because you feel now you're around other Black people and you feel comfortable and you feel like, oh, it ain't too much worry because I'm around my own people, like that false narrative go. And but you got your 80-year-old grandmother getting raped by some teenagers, getting snatched up off her porch, which she trying to sit in her rocking chair and enjoy the rest of his days and get their hair blew off for $5 or $10. You see what I'm saying? People that done live life way long before us, and no one cares. Okay, let me finish, brother, and I'll let you speak. But like I said, you know, when you look at all these issues, we don't even have no respect for our elder, let alone our women. But we want other communities of people to respect us, including the police. Okay? So once again, yes, that's true. There is a level of craziness and poverty and violence that go on in other ethnic communities in this country as well in this state that I live in, okay? I'm fully aware of that. I got that. But like I said, when you go around us, at least they try to work together to bring some minimizing to their problems. We don't even have enough sense to come together to try to minimize our situation as a people. The Hispanics even try to form unity bonds amongst each other to minimize their problems among themselves, unlike us, okay? I've been to Southern California. I know how that worked too, okay? When you're talking about a bunch of the Mexicans out there. Okay, so like I said before, you know, the fact of the matter is is that we have to stop, like the sister say, being in denial and accept our issues as being 90-some% afflicted upon ourselves, because this is no longer 1865 or 1965, where we constantly keep blaming the Caucasian for our problems. 90-some% of this is what we inflict on ourselves in the first place. If we wasn't inflicting these problems on ourselves, like my uncle told me, who grew up back in the 60s, my last surviving uncle, who was my late mother's brother, told me this a while back. He said police was not killing black people back then like they killing us now. You know why? Because we had more purpose in the little unity that we had left among each other back then. That's why they wasn't killing us as much as they killing us now. You see what I'm saying? So when you want to talk about examining, like you started with history, when you want to talk about examining the past and now, that is a difference involved in that situation. So, I mean, you know, like I said, this is the reason why I cannot blame another dark-skinned person of soul who don't want to be around savagery when it comes to people that look like them. And they want to, you know, secure a situation for themselves and their family where they could last longer to see another day, hopefully, without all that, being around all that ignorance and stuff. But go ahead, brother, say what you was gonna say, because I see some sister want to say something else or whatever. Brother, are you there? You got the floor.
I am terribly sorry. I'm kind of baffled at the amount of trying to put this formally, kind of put it gently, the self-destruction that I'm hearing. I mean, when you really look at the numbers, right, it tells you that, first off, we don't live in rural areas. Primarily, we live in major cities. Our numbers are condensed into these major cities. And when it comes to the entertainment part about it, we pretty much make everything popular. Why is that important? It's important because you don't get any news without a black person being prolificized or kind of put out there as an example. So when you start looking at analytics and you start looking at these numbers and whatnot, then you start to see a kind of a offset there. Something is a little off with the amount of the say the prison population, for example. You're a primary example of that. You've been incarcerated, like you've said before. You see how majority of black people are in the prisons. I mean, it kind of serves into a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Okay, brother, let me stop you right there just for a second. Yeah, you said there are not many of us in rural areas. Like I told you, I lived in several states in the South. I lived in some of those rural areas. I've been through rural areas. And when I did time in Georgia, I was around more people, just as many people from those rural areas that were black than I was with people that came from the Atlanta area. Okay, so I have to definitely decline what you're saying right there, as far as there not being many of us in rural areas. Okay, as a matter of fact, you have a lot of blacks, especially since the 90s, who have moved back, who left the big cities and moved back to those rural areas. Okay, so yes, there are a lot of us in those rural areas. And let me say this, because I was sold on the supposed fact that crime was lesser happening in smaller cities and smaller rural towns than it was in the bigger city, which I'm no longer now. And I am a first or secondhand witness to that fact, okay? That there's just as much gang banging, shooting, crime going on in those rural areas, okay, as it is in those major cities. Now, the only difference is that those people in those major cities is just more spread it out. But when you look at per capita, it's just as more violence in those smaller cities and small towns. Matter of fact, when you want to talk about the prison system, go look at the data charts. Go to the Georgia Department Correction website. Go to the Alabama Department Correction website. Look up their data charts. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas. I'm just naming Tennessee. I'm naming all them cities in the South. I mean, them states in the South, even Kentucky. Okay? And you would see that all them black, especially in Louisiana, brother, they locking up, they giving more time to people in Louisiana, from my understanding, than any other state in the country.
Right. Now match that up with the percentage of police stoppage. On average, with how many black people get pulled over in a hostile environment. Yeah. How many black people get
I have to speak on this, brother, because I live in a hostile environment.
I'll let you speak on that. Now give me just a minute to get to my point. My point is that we also get stopped more often. We already know that racial profiling is a big thing no matter what state you go in. So we're already targeted for that. How many people get stopped for minor infractions and then get guns drawn on them just on the light stuff? Let alone being incarcerated falsely.
Okay.
How many black people get released when found innocent after already being incarcerated, still are in prison?
Oh, okay. What I'm saying is this, though. I clearly have not missed what you said right there. But however, as I was finna say, bro, is that here in Lincoln, Nebraska, this is a hostile environment. But I have to disagree that you will get pulled over by police just because, and this is state capital of Nebraska, okay? Now in Omaha, where there's more blacks at, yeah, it's a lot of stuff happening there. Yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. Okay. But here, police, if you're not doing nothing out of pocket or putting yourself in a position to give them the suspicion that you are doing something wrong, then you know, and I'm not saying I've had a cop 1 to 2 times pull me over because of the area, the low income area I do live in, okay? But however, they know. See, the police here know who's committing the crimes and who ain't committing the crimes. Okay? So they know. You know what I'm saying? Who to actually pull over or suspect of committing the crime and who not to. Okay?
Acute awareness of who's a villain or who's a criminal and who's not. Like,
well, first of all, let me say this. the fact of the matter is that if they see you out there on a regular basis, on the corner, or doing something you ain't got no business doing, they gonna quite naturally suspect that you up to something, so they gonna probably pull up on you. But if they see you every day, law-abiding member of the community, and you not giving them no reason to pull you over, now maybe they might stop you on some traffic stuff or something like that. Okay. But however, if you just walking down the street, minding your business, and they know you ain't doing nothing around here, they not gonna pull you over. And like I said, I've been here almost 7 years, living in this city.
But again, right now we have a great deal of these occurrences where Black people are definitely on an influx of being targeted. Young Black man that worked at Walmart, walking down the street in the snow, got pulled over or got stopped by the police because he was walking in the street. It was snowing. He was walking in the street because there's snow on the sidewalk, but yet he got stopped on suspicious behavior.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What about, because this topic is really about why Blacks shouldn't exist among each other, okay, in this country. But what I'm gonna point out to you, this is, brother, is that let's stay on topic, because the thing is that you say that we're being targeted by other people. Yes, I agree with that. Okay. But we're also being targeted by each other. How come we don't put too much into addressing that? As we claim, especially in the Black conscious community, to put so much into being targeted by other people that don't look like us. You see what I'm saying? Because when we stop disrespecting each other and doing the stupid niggified stuff that we do to each other every day, then it'll become a point less. Well, we have to stop worrying about other people targeting us. Like I was saying, like my uncle told me, in the 60s, during his era, they wasn't killing us as much as they are, because we wasn't killing each other like we are now. See what I'm saying? And the ones who call themselves saying that they're trying to reform our communities, like some of these religious organizations you probably know about, that's supposed to be part of the Black conscious community, are helping to enable the destruction in our community. So why are we talking about that? Why aren't we doing something to effectively address that for real? That's what I'm talking about.
Let me just add something right here. Let me add something. I've been sitting back listening, to both of you brothers, and I'm just gonna add my little 2 cents.
Please.
Okay. Let it be known right now that Sister Noble is not anti-Black. Just because I talk about the issues that plague our people in this country, just because I talk about the sociopaths and the psychopaths among us, and there are many, it doesn't make me unconscious. It doesn't make me anti-Black. It doesn't make me anti-American descendant of slavery. It doesn't make me anti-foundational Black American. I will go in on the issues, just like I go in on these police shootings of unarmed Black people. I will go in on the issues that Black people do to each other. And I also talk about everybody, really. I talk about criminals everywhere. It ain't just Black criminals. It's criminals everywhere in every culture. So I just wanted to, clear that out, because I heard you talk about something earlier. You said something about the level of hate or that we have for other Black people. And I'm gonna keep it honest with you right now in a buck. It is that sort of mentality that I'm fighting against. That what you said earlier, that is the sort of mentality that I've been going against this past week. That is the sort of rhetoric that I've been talking against this past week. What all these pro-Black so-called consciousness people and all the BS that go on in, the so-called consciousness community, including the stuff that recently I've gone through in the so-called consciousness community. Okay. And that's why I am putting the so-called consciousness community on trial. The Black consciousness community is now on trial by Sister Noble. Because I'm sick of this language of, oh, you love Black people so much, y'all love Black people so much, but yet y'all enable the monsters that are among us.
That's exactly my point.
That's all I had to say. That's it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I just wanted to clear the air.
Yes, that's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. Because and I'm just excuse me, brother, and I'm just saying this here is that basically I'm not saying that we can't come together, but until we could come with a strong foundation to where we can come together to make a difference, to change our reality, to liberate ourselves from an oppressor, especially from a mindset of an oppressor, then regardless of the statistics, regardless of how many of us are living in a city or not living in a certain city or town, no matter where we find ourselves at among each other, we are living below the animalistic level. And that's just a fact. Anytime I got to worry about, you know what I'm saying, sociopaths or psychopaths in our community who don't, because if you really want to talk about every other race, at least one thing about every other race or ethnicity, they protect their elders and they protect their women, which is something we do not do.
I'm sorry, I gotta disagree on that. White people don't protect their elders; they throw them in nursing homes immediately. I mean,
okay. In some cases, yes. In some cases that happen, but not on a broad scale like Black people do. So I have to disagree with what you're saying there when you try to compare their level of abuse toward their elders with how we abuse our elders. Okay? So like I said before, I have to disagree with that part, because I live around a bunch of white people around here. I don't see them slapping their elders, robbing their elders, throwing them off porches, raping them, even teenagers raping their elders, like I saw in Detroit. Okay, like the treachery I saw in my hometown of Detroit or other cities that's Black where I've been. Okay, huh?
Just recently, there was a case where
besides the point, as far as what other people are doing to each other, that shouldn't concern us anyway. Okay, that shouldn't concern us. That shouldn't. No, it's really not, because you brought that into the fold of the conversation anyway. But anyway, what I'm saying is this, brother, is that we don't have no business even worrying about what they're doing. And even so, if they're around here doing some same things, like I said before, yes, they have their level of ignorance amongst them as a people, but it's nowhere near where we're at with each other. Okay, you don't see white boys blowing each other's heads off about somebody stepping on their Jordans.
I do. I just recently saw.
What? Like I said before, that's not in a massive case. That's not on the levels like
the daughter, the husband, that whole family. One neighbor took out the whole family. This was in the news. Is that
okay?
I'm just saying.
But see, you still keep going. You still keep going to that. But see, what I'm saying is that you still keep going to that to justify, obviously, what we doing to each other.
I'm just trying to raise.
And like I said, I do know that there are. Like I said, I've been around other races of people, much as I've been around other different Black Americans. Okay, so yes, like I said, you don't have to keep reminding me of that. I know it's a level of ignorance among other ethnic groups of people. Okay, but what I'm saying, it don't compare to no way of where we're at. And furthermore, like, brother, why you keep cutting me off? First of all, why you keep cutting me off? Okay, what I'm saying is that, listen, why you ain't got to keep cutting me off, brother.
Okay. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is that, you know, we have the propensity to hate on each other more than any other group of people do. That's why we're at the very bottom, okay? Now, it can't be put no more simple than that because of the fact that we were slaves in the first place. No one else like us in this country was slaves. And this is why we should not concern ourselves with what other people do to keep justifying the BS of what we do among each other. Okay, this is why I don't get on here and debate or go back and forth over nonsense like that. Because if we supposed to be conscious, we supposed to know better than that. Okay, that's why we ain't nowhere yet. And that's why we might not never get nowhere, because of that mentality. Okay? So, like I said before, you know, that's the reason why it is necessary that if some Black people could remove themselves from around other Black people, then I would encourage to do so. Like a brother named Nilly what's his name, sister, said that Black people are better off not speaking to each other if they don't have nothing civil to say to each other. And that's where the same thing applies to where they don't even need to be around each other in the physical, because that's how bad it is in 2021. And with that said, I'm going to turn the mic back over to our sister, and you take it on from there, however you want to do it. And I'll rest the mic and let.
I'm going to turn the mic over to Neophyte. Let him respond to you. I'm going to turn the mic over to Neophyte. Let him respond to you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Neophyte.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Thank you, brother. Now, if I recall, there was a whole lecture on that very topic about avoiding confrontational encounters with other Black people. Neely Fuller had a whole step-by-step process for different levels of interaction between Black people. That whole lecture, I listened to it regularly to be able to combat my own inner angst about Black people when I come in contact with Black people, to the point where now I understand exactly what he meant when he said it in the first place. When he said it, he was speaking on the the inner turmoil that we all suffer from not having the counseling that is obviously needed from that slave mentality. And once we're able to flush that out of our system, we're able to actually interact with each other on an elevated level with respect and love, is what he was getting at. Now, I've had to go back and listen to this lecture at least a dozen times before I even understood what he was getting at, because all I heard was avoid conflict, avoid interaction, avoid speaking, avoid eye contact. That's all I kept hearing until it was about maybe the 7th or 8th time before I heard it. You're avoiding that until you can find the love in your heart for seeing another Black person. Now, where does that come from? That comes from not being able to free your mind out of that inner slave mentality. The same thing that Malcolm X was actually talking about. It's the very same thing that Dr. Martin Luther King was talking about. It's the same thing that Marcus Garvey was talking about, but outside of those people, more along the lines of Malcolm X's mother is what she was talking about, the things that she left behind before they threw her in a mental institute. The same thing that my grandfather was talking about, my great-grandfather as well. The things that they passed down, the same thing that they were repeating, is to be able to interact with each other with more love. How do you do that? By flushing out the poison. That is what he was talking about. At least that's from my perspective, from what I gathered from that lecture. Now, mind you, I had to, like I said, I had to listen to it at least a dozen times before it even clicked in my own head. But I listened to that same one. So you're exactly right. I'm just encouraging you to maybe listen to it a couple more times and hear what exactly he was getting at, because the point didn't even hit me at first. But it's the exact thing that is necessary. What is it that we see in ourselves that we hate so much? When you look at another Black person, what makes you twitch? That's what he was sharing. That's the hurdle. That's the obstacle. That's the speed bump that keeps tripping us up. Again, just my personal opinion, my personal experience with listening to what these people were saying, what they were teaching, what they were lecturing about. I digress.
Before I let you respond to Brother Neophyte, I want to say this. My own personal experiences, myself, sometimes when I'm dealing with people on the job, Black people in particular, I run across many people, sometimes they come in there, they be mad about different things. Maybe they done had a rough day at work. Maybe they got some sort of drug or alcohol addiction. They come in there, sometimes they be high, sometimes they be drunk. My personal problems dealing with other Black people down here, especially in Atlanta, I run across a lot of Black males that just they very disrespectful, very disrespectful. I'm talking about, oh God, it's ooh, I mean, and I catch it on the job. The attitude they give me, I can't imagine being like their wives or their girlfriends. Just, the issue that I come across dealing with other Black people at work. No, I ain't talking about my coworkers. I'm talking about customers. I've been spoken to very disrespectfully by, more Black males, unfortunately, than Black females. I catch a little bit of attitude sometimes, from Black women, but not as much as I did from Black men at this particular job location where I was working. Okay. I recently transferred to another location. Okay. But I noticed how a lot of Black males, they just don't have no respect. They don't have no respect for women. I'm talking about women down here in Atlanta. And I'm just, I can't imagine dealing with these men as a wife or as their girlfriend. Because if you're talking to me this way, I know that your wife is catching it. Your girlfriend is catching it. Other females that you deal with is catching that attitude or that, that negative behavior or, just disrespect, blatant disrespect. Okay. So I concur with what, Brother Taalib is talking about. I concur. And I don't look at you and say, well, because I hate myself, I hate you. That's not what it is. I just see what I see. I catch it from other Black people. Okay. And it's not that I'm just sitting there expecting you to treat me with disrespect and expecting you to talk to me disrespectfully. Sometimes, people come in my line and, they want you to focus all of your attention on them. They want you to give your full attention to them. And you know what I see that as? I see that as somebody who probably was neglected as a child, somebody who did not get enough attention from loved ones or from their parents, somebody who just, they are so needy because they did not get that as a child. Okay. That's what I see that as. I got to be honest. So, you claim that, we're full of self-hatred here. And I'm just sitting here listening to you like, really, you really don't know me, bruh. You don't know me. Have you been listening to anything I've said? Have you, been reading my articles, my essays? Because I can't be more clear on where I stand. I can't be more clear on what I have experienced. And this is what I'm sharing with other people, my experiences. My experiences being a former believer, a former Christian, former Hebrew Israelite. My experiences I'm sharing with other people. Sorry, let me turn that light over so you can see it. See, y'all? This is what I share with people because I don't want people to go down the rabbit hole like I did and dedicate their whole life to a religion only to realize that it's not even based in reality. According to what we've been taught, it's not even based in reality, according to what we've learned or what we've been taught. So, I just had to share that with you because I just don't want you to think, oh, I look at other people and I hate myself. I look at other Black people and because I don't like their attitude or I don't like how they treat me, that I hate myself. It's not about that. It's not about that. I just see what I see. And a lot of times I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to deal with that. I got to be honest. I don't want to deal with somebody who disrespects me, talks to me crazy. Somebody who, don't know how to, speak to me in a manner where, where they have some sense. I don't want to deal with people like that. Don't know how to speak to me in a manner where they got some damn sense. And that's all I want to say. Go ahead and say what you got to say, Brother Taalib.
Yes, sister. And I want to kind of piggyback off that a little bit, but my initial point is from my personal experiences as far as where I'm coming from, as well as where I'm coming from on this panel, is that to address the brother as well, who has a few good points on what he's been saying. But however, I must still address that, from my experiences of being in the pro-Black conscious community, dealing with several organizations like the Nuwabians, the Nation of Islam, and stuff, and being involved in religion, whether it was Islam or Christianity. And when I came in contact with other Black people, it was very non-harmonious, as I will put. And it wasn't, as a matter of fact, it got to a point where it was more worse than me dealing with the common Black person on the streets. And that's one reason why I'm glad I was finally able to emancipate myself away from that, mentality of thinking, far as the Black conscious community is concerned, because I saw nothing but personal disrespect dealt to me more so than love. I saw more envy dealt to me. I saw more, it was like, it almost became completely unlike what I went into that fold in that period of my life expecting as a younger man. And so, and at this point, when you look at it, as far as with me speaking from my experience, I deal with so-called family relatives I don't even speak to this day. You know what I'm saying? Because of disrespect issues. You know what I'm saying? Because of them labeling me a certain type of way. And when it get to the point of hitting close to home where you got relatives that would probably watch somebody do something to you on the streets and harm you and look the other way or won't say nothing, you know what I'm saying? Then I have to evaluate my position with other Black people at that point. When it hits home hard like that, as well as when it hits home with other unfortunate negative relationships I've had with other Black people, like, you know what I'm saying? Because, of the way that I carry myself, because they don't like the way I carry myself, because they can't live and let live. You see what I'm saying? So, I get judged, and, it gets to the point where, I don't need that in my life. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and I've even gotten to the point, and I'm not saying this because my mother is an indigenous Black American. My grandmother was an indigenous Black American. My great-great-grandmothers was indigenous Black Americans, okay? And I don't put no other woman before my indigenous Black American woman. I would never do that. But I will say this, though, is that there's no true divine law which we've been falsely taught that tells us who we should lay in bed with and who we shouldn't lay in bed with. And we don't have no right questioning who we lay in bed with, by the way, because that's personally not the next individual's business to begin with anyway, okay? And with that said, where I'm at, it's not too much or of a big selection of black women to go around anyway, okay? But however, one thing, like others would say, which I could agree with, if you do go outside your ethnicity or race and be with somebody, long as they treat you with respect, that's all that matters, okay? Now, whether I feel like it's best for one to stick with their own kind when it comes to relationships or whatever, that's not my position to speak on that, okay? And it's not my place to speak on that either, even when it comes to my own personal situation with that. That's not my place to speak on that on any panel or platform. But all I'm saying is that when you get people who always say that you should stick with your own kind, even when it's with a relationship. Listen, let me say this, because I've seen this in my so-called family and outside my so-called family. And no disrespect to you, Sister Noble, or any other sisters watching live or listening in the comment section, but you know yourselves that black women can be hell on their own terms. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm gonna say as far as that go. Okay, but however,
I've had issues. I've had my share of issues with black women.
Yes.
I've had my share of issues with black women.
But
I know exactly what you mean. Because honey, the black women I had to deal with in the church, the black women I've had to deal with in the church, they were a handful. Okay, about the sisters I dealt with in the church were a handful. Okay,
right.
Now you go ahead.
Yeah, and see, that's just part of reality. Your skin color doesn't dictate your human existence. Your skin color don't determine how long you breathe or don't breathe. It goes way beyond that. And see, that's what people got to get out of that black first, that Caucasian, so-called white first stuff. You see what I'm saying? That Asian yellow man first stuff. That so-called Native American Indian red man first stuff. See, when people get beyond that point and start just looking at it like, look, we are all human civilization, then that's when you eradicate the so-called racism, period, no matter which side it's coming from. Because when we point out the things that Caucasians do, we're still thinking like them because we were created by them. Okay? We've been up under them all our lives, over 400 years in this country, so we think like them. Basically, everything we do, and when it comes to their influence, evolves around our lives. Okay? So when you get these people talking about, I'm pro-black, I'm for nothing but black. Okay, well, where's the black laws you make? What even Caucasians got to respect? Okay, laws made by black people. Where's what does our culture entail that don't involve the Caucasian? You see what I'm saying? Everything we do, they evolve around it, or they influence at least. So we mistake ourselves when we even use that title called pro-black. And that's another reason why, with that mentality, because that mentality has damaged us more than Christianity has. It just led us from one plantation to another and added more ignorance into our plethora as a people. You see what I'm saying? Because when you start joining these different pro-Black conscious organizations like the Nubians, the Hebrews, the Nation of Islam, the Comedics, and so forth and on, you get all these different variety of solid bowl belief systems going on to where it becomes a bunch of confusion. And this is one reason why we're more divided. And see, that's what I can't get with. And that's why, not out of self-hatred, but that's why I choose to separate myself from ignorance. And at that point, it ain't got to have nothing to do with color. But but since it so happens to be that we cannot coexist around each other as a people without all that going on, that's why I choose to separate myself from the madness the best way I can, and would continue doing so until the day I stop breathing. You see what I'm saying? Because unless we come together, this is why we got the Operation Exodus Mississippi platform that we've been having going for over 3 years, trying to get our people to get on board the soul train so that we can come together and take control of a state, starting with Mississippi, then Alabama, then Georgia, where we could establish a safe haven, where we could quarantine ourselves, so rest from the rest of this racism that's going on, to where we can be more effective in addressing the problems like what even you're talking about, brother. You see what I'm saying? Well, we can effectively address the self-hatred, address the drug dealing, address the gang banging, address the, our brothers pimping up our women. You see what I'm saying? Our women's brothers selling off their kids or whatever. You know how it go. You know what I'm saying? So we have to have a foundation before we could say that it's very necessary for Black people to coexist among each other. We're not in no power position at this point for that. You see what I'm saying? And until we get in a position, like I said, coming from a base with having a state behind us, to where we could establish some laws to protect us and our own, and establish some boundaries to keep the racists from onslaughtily waging attack wars on us as a people, then it's only necessary that we must, as individuals, do what we need to do to survive at that point. You see? So, I mean, and I would love to see what you call a paradise with us coming together and one day living in harmony, while our later generations behind us won't have to know what it is to be the nigger word, or what it is to be a thug or a gangbanger or a dope dealer or a whore or, a pimp. You see what I'm saying? Or a criminal. You see what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying? But basically it's not even about a Black thing. It's about a human thing. You see what I'm saying? It's about a human thing, because this is the purpose of the Operation Exodus Mississippi campaign thing anyway. You see what I'm saying? It's about us being able to breathe a little bit more better as a people in America. We're not trying to take over America. We just trying to breathe a little bit more better like everybody else is, as humanly as possible, where we could all be on an equal standing when it comes to that. It's not about your skin color. And see, that's what these pro-Blacks get mixed up. That's why they call us crazy. here at Operation Exodus, Mississippi. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, you know, it is what it is on that note. And I mean, like I said, brother, you stated your disagreements earlier, and I respect that, but I have to stand on what I stand on and speaking passionately the way that I speak and where I'm coming from experience in dealing with facts of this whole scenario of what we're talking about here on this panel. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, and it's nothing against you. And I appreciate the fact that you came on here, brother, you know, and maybe hopefully you could get something out of this or take something in that you know, may help you grow more in your own self-awareness, you know, and because, you know, a lot of, you know, brothers and sisters run away, you know what I'm saying, from our platform, you know, a lot of them, you know what I'm saying, don't want to get on here and even talk about what we're talking about. You see what I'm saying? So my brother, before we close out, because I don't know how much time we have left, but do you have anything that you want to add on, my brother?
First, let me get a microphone check to make sure my mic is good. Make sure I'm not causing an interruption. Am I good? Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, you're good, brother.
I'm just trying to figure like the thought process in being separate or separating so that we can get together. Is the idea that's the scaffolding or the foundation for the Mississippi movement? Or the Exodus
yes, it's all you have to do, brother. We have a YouTube channel called Operation Exodus Mississippi. As soon as we go off live from here, if you are willing to, you could go on there and watch it, and it'll give you everything. You can watch every video as possible on there, and it will give you everything from the beginning. And we even got a promo video that a brother named Omar Shabazz you know, made for us. That's also on that channel that you could go look at, that tells you basically the layout blueprint for this you know, project that we got going on as far as Operation Exodus Mississippi and what it entails and the benefits that it could you know, bring to us all as 40 some plus million dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America. So you could go look at it, and if you have any questions, you're welcome to get with our brother Angel Snup 7, or you know, you could come back and join us on the platform, so we could on another panel or whatever, so we could talk about it. And you know what I'm saying, because we welcome all our people. It's for all the benefit of all of us being finally liberated truly from an oppressive that we've been under for almost 500 years, brother. We're tired of everything else we tried has failed us, brother. This is the only thing that has the probability of actually working, and this is why people is running away from it. This is why it's falling continuously on deaf ears. You see what I'm saying?
I've been trying to open my ears up. Honestly, I've been trying to open my ears up to it. I've watched a few of the promos for this movement, and I want to get behind it, but I keep seeing remnants of Liberia, and how essentially we were supposed to be having an exodus to our own state in Africa. The same thing happened in the 1950s with Ghana, where we actually established our state, our country, reestablished. I'm sorry, reestablished. I made that very clear. Reestablished a governing body in Ghana, and still ran into some of the same issues that we're having now. And I just wanted to see if is anybody taking note on that level in the movement. So I'll just go. I'm gonna have to go back and do my homework. As maybe I did, maybe I missed something. I'll go back, look at some of these videos, but I'm seeing some of these same things because I dive deep into history as much as possible, so I can see where it is that I'm going into this future. Primarily because I understand what happened in Ethiopia, again, in our past, where literally Italy went to war with Ethiopia. They allowed the Italians to go fight in that army, but they did not allow the Black Americans to go to Ethiopia to fight on the Ethiopian side. I find that to be very kind of unsettling when I'm looking at the fine print of these things that happened in history, and I'm starting to see them repeat themselves. Again, I understand how it's going. It's falling on deaf ears, and I see the potential in the movement. I don't want to see it happen on that level. I don't want to see us trip over the same speed bumps, right? So if we can get this Exodus movement, if you guys can get that Exodus movement going, I would definitely love to be a part of it. But I just keep seeing the same speed bumps.
we welcome you. If you have any better ideals, we also welcome you to bring that to the table as well, brother. Just like with any of our other brothers and sisters that may be interested. Because it's all, either way, it's all about us getting to liberation for real. We tired of being where we at right now in this country.
Right. I mean, I agree with you on that part. I keep seeing these different movements going on right now, but at the same time, because of the industry that I work in, I also see the hurdles that are actually being set up to be more pitfalls for any movement that we have on the table right now. I'm seeing pitfalls being set up where, okay, we got the Black Lives Matter. I don't agree with them. However, the Chinese Olympics right now, the Olympics being held in China right now, will not allow for Black people to actually have, or any participant to have, any Black Lives Matter merchandise or clothing or anything of that nature on their person. They're not allowed, and they're going to be penalized for actually having it. Now, I don't agree with Black Lives Matter, but for them to actually put that on the table, that sounds like something that really should be brought to people's attention as a pitfall, already being set up for something that's going on right now. Now, if I'm allowed to, I can share another one where, again, our dearly beloved president already allowed for anti-Asian hate laws being put out against us. And every time, because if you really think about it, these laws have already been put in place a long time ago. With civil rights, for one, just an example, where a lot of these anti-lynching laws are already on the books, but never enforced. And now 2020 comes along, 2021 comes along, and now these same laws are being used as protection agents to protect Asians against the Black people. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not how the 14th, 15th, or 16th Amendment works. But yet we keep falling into that trap. Forgive me for ranting, but these sort of things are being put into place and being enforced by our governing bodies, and we're still trying to combat that same system with the same tools that they provided for us, knowing full and well that these tools that they gave us to combat this don't work on purpose. So I'm just saying, I'm going to go back. I'm going to do my research.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to try to see if I come up with some ideas to maybe help figure out, like, look, they've got it planned out already. They know what we're going to do. They know our movement already. They know that we're tired. And they keep prodding us. They keep poking us. Last example, and I'm terribly sorry, but last example. Black History Month just passed. Just past February, we should have been up in arms and a lot of different things that were going on. Every time that we were supposed to be celebrating one of our ancestors in the month of February, there was already something else being put out in the media that we should have been upset about, but we weren't, which leads me to believe that this consciousness is being rocked back to sleep. And it's still going. But, I digress. I'm just saying, there's a few things that are kind of slipping over our heads that I think we really should be aware of. These articles, Sister Noble, I get your articles all the time. You email me faithfully, and I actually do read them. But it's still tying back to a lot of the different things that I've seen in the Times newspaper itself, going back through history. As a matter of fact, I do have a 1619 article, the magazine, that I have put up and put into, kind of a protective cover because I want to keep that piece of history. I've got countless little things that I keep track of where I keep seeing these bait and switch things being put out. Anything from laws being enacted, laws being introduced, commercial products being put out, you name it. I mean, it's part of my industry on the outskirts. It's just something I'm paying attention to. I'm seeing it affect us in the same way. And I feel like we're getting ready to go right back into a trap, at least from like the middle, like after summer, sometime this year, the next year after that. And by the time we're up going back into our voting process 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, we're getting ready to go back into the same problem, the same sleep. We're already on track to doing the same thing. So I digress. I'm going on for too long now.
Yes, brother. I'm not getting off topic, but what part of the state of Nebraska you say you in? Because yes, this is a pro-conservative racist state.
Right now, I'm just passing through. Let's see, Gothenburg.
Okay, I've heard. Oh hell yeah, I heard of that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm like I said, I'm just passing through. I definitely ain't planning on stopping here. But
keep going, brother. Keep going. Yeah. I ain't gonna be here
as I go through these places, just as a hobby.
Now, brother, I'm not gonna be here forever either. But just like I say, be safe while you on the road and keep going. That's all I can tell you.
I make sure my toolbox stay handy with a hammer all the time. Those niggas keep it that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Now, sister, you could take over if you. Cause I'm kind of tongue tied.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of these comments in the chat room here. I'm just looking at some of these comments. Oh my God.
Yeah, I try to ignore most of the comments, mainly because it kind of distracts from what I'm saying. I'll address any questions anybody has for me. I mean, if they have any pushback on what I've said, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion.
Go ahead go ahead and finish saying what you were saying, because I need to read these these comments in the chat room got me tripping. Go ahead and finish, saying what you were saying.
Okay. I'll leave with another example. Let's talk about Africa for a second. Africa, and compare it to, let's say, Detroit. All right. Right now in Ghana, we have the Chinese or the Korean company, Hyundai and Kia, building their warehouse, or not warehouse, but the factory in Ghana right now. Bought up their land, they're building their facility there, which is going to provide jobs to the Ghanaians that live there, which is good. I'm not saying anything bad about that, except, do we understand the fact that Detroit had one of the highest level paying jobs for black people at one point, especially with their stamping and steel mills and car industry. They had this. And then as soon as black people started establishing themselves and being able to earn an income to where we can actually start putting our children, the next generations, into schooling, they kind of snatched that rug from under us. And we see what Detroit looks like today. Let's go all the way over to the West Coast and look at the city of industry, where the warehouses did the same thing to that formerly black town, where now it's nothing but warehouse as far as the eye can see. Technically, it's like little TJ. Not to bring race into it, however, at one point that was a primarily black town that is now filled with warehouses. I'm looking at these patterns kind of reestablishing themselves in the footholds in places where black power structures have the potential to grow exponentially. Not only that, but Kenya just lost a 99-year contract over their own port. Again, these are places that should not be lost and are slowly kind of being picked off systematically. But if you throw it out there, it's conspiracy. No, these aren't conspiracies, these are contracts. I mean, like, these are loans. These are insurance contracts, land contracts that are being established here. Now, mind you, South Africa has a 45-year agreement where no contract can go past the limit of 45 years. After that, land has to be returned to Africa. Now, if this is something that can be established all over that continent, then you're safe. However, the Chinese markets are trying to weasel themselves around that right now. And we're not really picking up on that. Where we got this Repatriation Act where black people are trying to move back to Africa, but not seeing that the land grab is still on. How do we benefit from that and establish something here on this continent in these here United States? Well, you guys are trying to get this movement going and get some steam behind it, right? But we still need a source of income. Not a source of income, but we need a what do you call it? We need a resource. But right now in these here United States, we don't necessarily have a resource outside of our entertainment value. We are looked at as an entertainment value. Everything that is popular is brought on by black people, from what's trending in our markets. I'm talking about the actual marketplace, what is popular selling, and hell, if it's not for black people spending our dollars during Christmas time, this whole market would tank. That's been established. That's established fact. That happens every year. It's the same reason why they keep giving us stimulus after stimulus after stimulus instead of giving us a reparation. But they keep spoon feeding us these tidbits and little bits and crumbs, and we're continuing to be satisfied. I propose personally that we should be pushing ourselves away from that sort of madness. You guys are doing it, but I'm thinking like definitely need to kick ourselves away from that table immediately in order to even see what kind of obstacles they're trying to put in front of us. I mean, when you get everybody with a full head of steam into the motion of exiting or having to exodus to these places like Mississippi, what governing body is going to govern that state after that? And can you trust them? My argument is no. Half the time, these people are out of code of conduct for Black people in the first place, and their agenda doesn't match our agenda, where they'll literally sell us down the river. Leadership is not necessarily something that we need, because we have plenty of that and it doesn't get us anywhere. But making sure that everyone can start getting on the same page is critical to me. It's drastically needed, in my personal opinion. How do you get there? By being able to weed out those that would sell you out. I'm just preaching to the choir here. I know you guys already know this. I ain't said nothing that hasn't already been told to you since last year to now. But anything that we put ourselves into has to have our full soul into it. And instead of allowing others to come in and dictate how it should be moving, there should be a well-established kind of, like I said, code of conduct that makes people that would have ill intention stand out like a sore thumb. And all you have to do is separate the wheat from the chaff. That's all. I digress.
Brother Taalib, would you like to respond to what Brother Neophyte just said?
Yes. Well, brother, this is the reason why it's so important for us when we do. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. This is why it's so important for us to take control of a state, so that once we do get in that position, we could be able to effectively deal with who's placed in positions to govern us, that we could trust, that we know is going to be for the people and not against the people. So we're going to definitely be very critical of dealing with that situation, because we don't want to fail like our other movements in this country failed in the past. And I can see that I'm directly responding as well to your worries about that, brother, because yes, it is hard to trust us in any movement. And you know, Operation Exodus Mississippi is no different. So yes, when it comes to that note, so we're going to have to definitely make sure that we put people in place that's not going to sabotage our quest for liberation, because if they do, then like someone say, there'll just be land on the Gulf of Mississippi, you know what I'm saying? You know, being washed away, you know, by salt water, because we not about no games when it comes to this liberation thing. We ain't got time for no more sabotage in our liberation, especially from the inside internally. We ain't got time for that. So, you know, to your question, and hopefully that's been answered. We will definitely effectively deal with that before we even put leaders in positions to govern us. We will make sure that their background is not questionable, and we will make sure that they are 1,000% on par with everything before we even allow them to govern us. And like I said, if we see any cracks or quirks in what they're doing, we're going to deal with it immediately and effectively. We're going to just shut it down. And that's just how that's going to go. Because we want our future generations to see a better tomorrow, unlike what we have ever seen as a people in this country. And with that, I rest my mic.
Well, I think this was a good build tonight. I just want to end this program with my essay. I'm going to end with my essay that I wrote. I wanted to speak a little bit more on what I wrote earlier, okay, in my essay. And let me go back and see, can I find it? Okay. Okay, there it is. Okay, I just want to read a little bit more of my essay, because I want people to understand. I want you to understand what I was saying in proper context. The title of this essay: "You Should Be Castrated and Not Allowed to Procreate." Now, I already read the first paragraph. Let me just finish reading some of this essay, okay? On Tuesday, April 20, 2021, Micah Bryant, 16, was fatally shot by a police officer in Columbus, Ohio. Police video revealed that Bryant had lunged at a woman with a knife, almost stabbing the woman. To stop an imminent threat, Officer Nicholas Reardon fired several shots, which struck Bryant. When officers responded to a 911 call at the residence, Micah Bryant and several of her siblings had already been in the foster care system for several years. Their biological mother was unable to handle the girls. Therefore, she had placed them in the care of the state of Ohio. Sometimes it is not always the parents as to why your children are psychopaths or sociopaths. However, on the day Micah Bryant was shot and killed, her biological father was seen kicking a woman in the head as she was on the ground. I surmise that not only did the foster care system fail Micah Bryant, but her parents also failed her. Her father failed to protect her. Her father failed to remove the knife from her hand. Not only should Micah Bryant's father be chemically castrated, but he should be charged with child endangerment and child abuse. He doesn't deserve any pity. He doesn't deserve any money for the death of his daughter. He deserves to be in prison. Many of you deserve to be cast out of society as unfit parents and should be castrated and further barred from reproducing offspring. Not only have you allowed your offspring to run amok and terrorize the citizens in the neighborhood, but you have helped to hide these monsters among us. You have contributed to the downfall of our community by leaving your offspring to fend for themselves in a psychotic environment. While many of you claim to be conscious, you have produced monsters by way of physical, sexual, and psychological abuse and neglect, and also not providing adequate food, shelter, and the physical material your child needs for his or her survival. Then you have the audacity to blame your lack of parenting and providing for your children on the white man. Black men constantly blame Black women for the downfall of our community. But Black men are leaving Black women to become single mothers. Okay? Black men constantly blame Black women for the downfall of our community, but Black men are leaving Black women to become single mothers. You're also leaving white women as single mothers. You're leaving Hispanic women as single mothers. You're leaving every culture of women on the planet as single mothers while claiming you're being oppressed by the white man. You're the current problem in all of our lives. But that was in the context of what happened to Micah Bryant, a 16-year-old that was gunned down on April 20 because her father failed to protect his daughter. So I'm done. Would any
So we broke.
Hey, well, are you still there? I'm hearing crickets. I think your mic is on mute.
Go ahead, Brother Neophyte. Go ahead, Brother Neophyte. We hear you.
Okay. Again, I hear mostly remnants of Margaret Sanger in this. I hear a lot of that kind of Planned Parenthood. I guess we could say mantra. Planned Parenthood mantra is Planned Parenthood kind of rhetoric in it. I mean, it's well.
Excuse me. How did you come to that conclusion about Planned Parenthood? Let me just go back and read.
Planned Parenthood was
read the article.
established by Margaret Sanger.
I'll just go ahead and read the article. Let me just go. Listen. Let me just go ahead and read the article again. I'm still confused as to how you got that out of this article. But let me just read this article again. Okay. From start to finish, because it ain't that long. Okay, let me just read this article again. Okay. Okay. I'll just read the article again. Let me put it back up. Still trying to figure out how you got that. About Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood. I'm telling you, you shouldn't be having no fucking kids. If you cannot do right by your kids, you shouldn't be having none of them. And you definitely shouldn't be blaming Black women for your inadequacies. Okay? Now let me just, read this article again. The rise of the Black female sociopath is the consequence of not only poor parenting, but parents who never should have been allowed to procreate. Not only should males in this society be psychologically and chemically evaluated before being deemed fit to reproduce offspring, but once they have failed as parents, they should be chemically castrated and cut off from reproducing further offspring. Your child is a representative of you. If your child is already violent at age 6, it usually is a sign of sexual and or physical trauma or abuse, or he or she is chemically imbalanced. There are variable factors which causes chemical imbalance in the brain. Unfortunately, many children are born psychopaths, and if he or she lives with a mother or father or both parents who are normal, and does everything they can to provide emotional, financial, and physical support, and also guidance, nurture, and love, then the chemical imbalance in your child's brain is a cause of other factors outside of the parent's control. On Tuesday, April 20, 2021, Ma'Khia Bryant, 16, was fatally shot by a police officer in Columbus, Ohio. Police video revealed that Bryant had lunged at a woman with a knife, almost stabbing the woman. To stop an imminent threat, Officer Nicholas Reardon fired several shots, which struck Bryant. When officers responded to a 911 call at the residence, Ma'Khia Bryant and several of her siblings had already been in the foster care system for several years. Their biological mother was unable to handle the girls. Therefore, she had placed them in the care of the state of Ohio. Sometimes it is not always the parents as to why your children are psychopaths or sociopaths. However, on the day Ma'Khia Bryant was shot and killed, her biological father was seen kicking a woman in the head as she was on the ground. I surmise that not only did the foster care system fail Ma'Khia Bryant, but her parents also failed her. Her father failed to protect her. Her father failed to remove the knife from her hand. Not only should Ma'Khia Bryant's father be chemically castrated, but he should be charged with child endangerment and child abuse. He doesn't deserve any pity. He doesn't deserve any money for the death of his daughter. He doesn't deserve any money for the death of his daughter. He deserves to be in prison. Many of you deserve to be cast out of society as unfit parents and should be castrated and further barred from reproducing offspring. Not only have you allowed your offspring to run amok and terrorize the citizens in the neighborhood, but you have helped to hide these monsters among us. You have contributed to the downfall of our community by leaving your offspring to fend for themselves in a psychotic environment. While many of you claim to be conscious, you have produced monsters by way of physical, sexual, and psychological abuse and neglect, and also not providing adequate food, shelter, and the physical material your child needs for his or her survival. Then you have the audacity to blame your lack of parenting and providing for your children on the white man. Black men constantly blame Black women for the downfall of our community, but Black men are leaving Black women to become single mothers. You're also leaving white women as single mothers. You're leaving Hispanic women as single mothers. You're leaving every culture of women on the planet as single mothers, while claiming you're being oppressed by the white man. You're the current problem in all of our lives. Okay, that's it. Still confused as to how you got Planned Parenthood out of that essay. Okay. But
I explain, but I mean, honestly, if I can turn a phrase, a hit dog barks, hit dog cries. I don't see myself in that, but I do see the stereotypes in it. I see at least a handful, but the one that stands out primarily is 1916. The establishment of the Planned Parenthood fits the beginning of that article. After I would say towards the end of the article. So it's like you started and ended with the same propaganda from the Planned Parenthood.
I didn't start or end with any propaganda when it comes to Planned Parenthood. That is your opinion, and that's what you got out of that, but that is not what that article is about. That article is not about
I'm sure
Planned
that it's
Parenthood.
not.
It's about black men taking responsibility for their own failures. It's about black men
I
taking
feel that
responsibility
black
for
men
their
should
own
be taking
failures.
responsibility for
You
it.
have failed to raise your kids, and y'all hide these monsters among us. And it ain't just black men; it's black women who have failed their children. It ain't just black men either. It's black women. You hide these monsters among us. Y'all don't do right by y'all children. You don't fucking half raise them. I mean, you don't. It's a problem. I'm just gonna say that it's a problem that we need to address among our own ranks. It's a problem. We cannot just keep throwing everything at the feet of the white man and blaming all of our issues on white people. And that's where I disagree with y'all when y'all come at me with that pro-black stuff. That's where I bump heads at, right there with y'all. I bump
I'm not
heads
sure
with
if
y'all
I
right
said
there.
anything that was pro-black. I'm
saying that the mentality. The mentality. You did come in here in the beginning talking about this. Listen, I heard what I heard what I heard. I heard what I heard. I'm not stupid here. Just because I may
not saying that you
be
are.
an
I mean,
eloquent speaker doesn't mean that
I
I'm
respect
stupid.
you. I respect you on a actual much higher level than myself, because you actually have these articles that you send me all the time for me to read in the Times. I subscribe to the Times, and then on top of that, I get the personal privilege of having someone who is writing it in contact with me. I don't disrespect you at all. Not even a little bit. I'm just bringing to the attention what I hear, because I have
we need to take
researched
responsibility. We need to take responsibility for our shit. We need to take responsibility.
I understand that completely. As a matter of fact, I try to lead by example. I can only lead by example. I can't be angry at anybody for doing that. But like I said,
can't do anything to change what's been going on. You by yourself. It'll take a village. It'll take the issues that we're dealing with.
Reflection is what I'm saying. It will take a reflection. You need someone needs to see the example. We need to see the example.
You're trying to relegate my essay to me talking about Planned Parenthood, having the same talking points as a Margaret, whatever her name is, the last name is Margaret, whoever.
Margaret Sanger.
You're trying to relegate my essay to her talking points, and that's not what my essay is about at all. You're trying to change the narrative here about us needing to take accountability for the shit that goes on in our neighborhoods with our children. You can't deflect away from what's been going on in our own neighborhoods among each other.
I'm not deflecting at all.
Okay,
as a matter of fact, I'm trying to bring some attention towards the fact that in Planned Parenthood, they actually removed one thing that I do. I'm kind of glad that they did. But before a black family could actually have a child, they actually did have to have a psych evaluation. They actually did have to go through a blood test to see if there's any conflicting DNA, things of that nature. This was all part of Planned Parenthood when it was established, all the way up until, dare I say, maybe 20 years ago, until they started changing some of this rhetoric in their requirements, the laws that they have passed, the things of that nature. I can't really go into the full details on it, but I'm pretty sure if you go to it yourself and see what I'm talking about, you'll see some of the similarities that I'm trying to point out. I'm not trying to be argumentative about it. I'm just saying what I've heard, and you read it eloquently. As a matter of fact, when you elevated your voice, I still you still spoke it with power, with conviction. I can hear it. But it still sounds like remnants of Planned Parenthood towards the beginning. I was like, not even the whole article, because when you went into the article, it kind of like unsettled me when I hear about this black man who failed. And I understand why he failed.
Yeah.
Right? Not
and why did
putting
that
the blame
unsettle
anywhere else.
Why did
But
that
I hear
unsettle
the failure. And then when you brought in on top of
Why
that,
did that unsettle you?
Why did
that unsettle you? When I said
it unsettled me because of
Brian's father failed her. Why did that unsettle you? He failed her. He failed her.
It unsettled me to hear that another black man has failed, and everybody was there to see it. Everybody was there to see that this was a failure, and that, again, it's a broad paint stroke to paint majority of black men in this narrative. I mean, if we are a quote, why is it that all of our statistics are the first thing that gets put on the table? I wonder about these things. I wonder about why is it that any statistic that gets put on the table, the very first statistic that ever comes up is the comparison between the black race and the white race in our own news media, in our own news outlets. The very first thing that comes up is these stark differences. But yet we're still the minority and going further down that food chain. And I'm curious, how is that possible? How is it that we are the majority of the prison population, but the minority in the public majority? I mean, or in the public atmosphere.
Have you read my book? Have you read my book? I addressed all of that in my book.
If I'm not mistaken, I have your book. And it's
still, I addressed all of that in my book. All of that, what you're talking about, I addressed it in my book.
Okay, but how is that different from the statistics that we hear every day?
No, I addressed all of that in my book. What you just said about the statistics. Okay. I addressed all of that in my book. All of it. What you're bringing up in this live stream is nothing new to me. We're not just hearing this stuff. I get where you're coming from.
It shouldn't be new. It shouldn't be new to anyone, technically.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, brother. I addressed all of that in this book. God is on trial. Okay, all of that has been addressed in this book. What does that have to do with what happened to Micah Bryant? And that John still pisses me off.
Yeah, well, technically,
it should piss everybody off. The girl is dead because her damn daddy failed to protect her. I'm still pissed off about that shit.
Well,
and that's why I can't espouse pro-black teachings. I can't. Because I'm not going to coddle you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about in general. Not going to coddle you. I'm not going to coddle you. I'm not going to make excuses for you. You're gonna have to take responsibility. Plain and simple. Stop having all these damn children if you can't take care of them. That's my stance on that.
I completely
Somebody told me to dust your shoulder off, sister. I'm just, honey, I didn't look. That ain't me trying to show anybody up. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just frustrated. I'm frustrated. You know, people don't want to take responsibility for nothing, and that's the problem. That's the problem. I cannot espouse pro-black consciousness teachings because I just cannot coddle you. I cannot make excuses for you. I can't. So Neophyte dropped off. Would you like to, say something, brother, before I close this out?
Yes, you pretty much covered it well at the end. At that point, you pretty much covered it well, and from where I started at, because basically this is the reason why I said earlier on a live that if we cannot take responsibility for our own situation as people in this country, and which you included with the situation with that young sister that got killed a couple weeks ago in Columbus, Ohio, then you know what I'm saying? Then we don't need to exist among each other, and it's just that simple. You know, we just like a bunch of rat pats in the damn zoo right now. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. And anybody with a common sense, rational mind would understand that for real, you know? And so, you know, if you're not going to take care of your kids, don't have them. If you're not going to, you know what I'm saying, be responsible, then don't think about jumping in bed, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Having them, and it's just that simple, you know. And I mean, you know, I don't know no more to say other than that, sister. I'm tongue tied, basically, just about because.
I've said everything I need to say. This live stream has gone on long enough now.
Yes,
2
I
hours
have
and 41
too.
minutes. So I am going to end this. Oh, there go Neophyte. He just came back in. I'm sorry. I thought you had done just went on out the live. I'm sorry about that.
No,
Neophyte. I thought you had just went on out the live. But
I'm actually trying to get myself settled down for the night. I lost service for a moment there.
Okay.
I mean, these are definitely talking points that we should be. We shouldn't back down to conversations like this.
Still bothering me. That girl losing her life like that. That is really still bothering me. Like, oh my God.
Yes. I mean, it should bother everyone. Technically, a lot of these different incidences that have been happening, especially last year and this year, we should be a lot more bothered by them than what we've been.
Exactly.
And I don't see enough actual movement going into that direction. Here we go. Like one statistic where the problem with the shortage of ammunition right now is due to the fact that more black people have become gun owners 4 years ago. Right? But why was that? Because they felt threatened. They felt like, okay, we need to be able to protect ourselves. Right? And then for a country that is a warlike country as it is, an established like superpower that has one of the highest militaries on the planet, yet we are having a shortage of these materials. That don't sit right with me. That's just one thing. I'm kind of getting off topic, but what I'm saying in general is that we should be a lot more upset with what's going on, what's being presented to us. What we keep seeing in the media, CNN, Fox, NBC, whatever. All of these things we keep getting fed. This information we keep getting fed. And it feels like a cattle prod to see if we're still alive, to see if we're still quote unquote conscious or woke. Should we still be in the streets? I think yes, personally. Are we going to be? I doubt it. Did we get a lot of things done while we were in the streets? Yes. Were we organized the way we should have been? Hell no. But you can see the potential. Reason why I put myself on the chopping block. Reason why I come on this panel and have some pushback for what was clearly a well put together article is because these conversations need to happen. I'm still hearing remnants of the same thing that we've been programmed. That's why I brought it up. If it triggers anything, then that right there is the red flag that we should be looking at. We should be putting our attention on why there's a trigger. Why does this whole thing make us upset? Why did it inspire you to write this article in the first place? Again, conversations that we should be having that we seem to be backing out of, a little too timid to talk about. The only reason why I don't have my camera on right now is because it's just me. I'm at work right now, and I got my hands on. As soon as I get settled down, my camera's coming back on. But I gotta put myself out there. I gotta put my word out there. I gotta say what it is that I feel about this thing. I keep seeing these same things reoccurring over and over and over again. And with black people still pointing fingers at each other. Not saying the four fingers pointing back. I don't just saying.
Brother,
Okay.
brother,
Yes.
you got a lot of background static.
Oh, my bad. Hold on. Let me put my mic on mute and try to fix this.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I might have to go back out, come back in. I don't know. You guys probably trying to end this anyway, right?
No, you can go ahead and finish what you were saying. You know, just because I'm have brother Taalib to respond if he wants to. So go ahead and finish saying what you got to say.
Okay. Like, I try not to go into the troll mode. I do have a troll mode. I do have a troll button, just like everybody else has a troll button. They get on here and start talking all kinds of mad mess. But if I get allotted an opportunity to come on a panel, then I'd rather be on here and speak my mind without relying on profanity or anything of that nature, so that I can get my point across. So that people actually want to sit and listen to what I have to say about it. I'm bringing that up. I don't want to be offensive. The article was put together well. But I'm pointing out the things that I keep hearing. I'm pointing out the things that I keep seeing in our communities. From one end of the continent to the other, we still have the same issue where the family structure is no doubt under attack. But how? How is it under attack? Not necessarily with direct violence, although we do have a lot of that. That's not what is our opposition right now. Our opposition is literally a what do you call it? An algorithm of trauma that is programmed into our brains, and we don't see that our worst enemy is ourselves. We already know that where it came from. It's slavery. Slavery is where it came from. Jim Crow is where it came from. on the continent, it was every other form of racism, right? That started it, that triggered it, that was the protagonist to what is our plight today. Nothing has changed. The last 100 years, almost literally, nothing has changed. Technology has changed. Our understanding and our awareness of our surroundings has changed. Has any of the laws changed? Has that Constitution changed? Has any of those amendments changed? No. Has anybody proposed any amendments to the established Constitution? No. How can we expect any results if at first those things don't get changed? And if no one is willing to change those things, how can we expect to be treated any different than what they've already done? I'm surprised that we are not still lynched for being bad parents as they once did before. But you would have to dive deeper into history to even understand that part. They were talking about the same people that has established the laws and things of that nature, that thought it was a good idea to use our babies as alligator bait. So I'm just trying to figure, where do we expect these people to change anything in reference to our growth? They're not. Their interest is nowhere near trying to figure out how do we get the black population to do better. Nah, they don't give two shits about that. We should, but every time we see something like this being broadcast to us in our media, it triggers us. It triggers us in a depth that we don't even know that we're triggered half the time. And then when we are triggered, we get all up in an uproar and start poking at each other. All I'm saying is that these things happen in waves and patterns, and this is another one. I'm just saying, this is simply just another part of that pattern that we have got to figure out how the hell to get out of. I've got some ideas, but, for another show, let's try to keep my mouth shut a little bit.
Would you like to say something, Brother Taalib, before we go? If you want to expound upon what he just said, and then we'll close on you. Oh, hold on for a minute. Hold on. Yeah, I had you on mic. I'm sorry, I had you on mute. My bad. I had you on mute. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, brother, as I basically said before, it's a lot of questions, you know what I'm saying? And I understand your questions, and you're just trying to open up the search to really find the truth that would set us all free, as I would assume. But we need to, what we must do is initially work together and take control of a state. And all those questions that you have, and I'm not minimizing what you're saying in any way, brother, by saying this, but all them questions you have would definitely effectively be addressed, because we are in a crisis. We are under siege right now. Like you said, you can't be black nowhere without being racially profiled in this country. We got to put ourselves in a position that where we cannot be profiled, where we won't be in jeopardy of getting our heads blown off because we're the nigger word. You see what I'm saying? Well, we won't be in a position to be accused by somebody or a white woman that said we raped her. based on a lie. You know what I'm saying? So, and by the way, that happened over 100 years ago in Omaha, Nebraska, speaking of Nebraska. So yes, they got that type of history here like they do around the rest of the country. And we got to establish a safe haven for ourselves from that. That's why it's so important that we get with this Operation Exodus Mississippi campaign thing. So that will address your questions, brother. You see what I'm saying? Because, hey, I'm still looking for answers in a lot of things, but I don't, to bluntly simply put it, I don't, come all out on social media or on the panel and speak about it, because I just get simply clear cut to the point of right now where we at as a people and what we need to do. And it's not even based on emotions. It's based on common collectively coming together with intelligent thinking on taking control of our own destiny, as Marcus Garvey would once say. You know, where we will be finally a free people. You know what I'm saying? Then, like what you're talking about the Constitution, since we know the Constitution is not for us, we could create our own laws and establish our own Constitution that will be for us, by us, and protect us. Like from all this racial stuff that's happening to us in this country. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, and like I said, you know, we need to address that. We definitely need to address those things, but we also definitely, and I'm on point with the sister, we definitely need to address how we deal with each other. Because if we can't address how we deal with each other, how we gonna keep control of a state like Mississippi? You see, so that's very important. Because then we do that, then all our efforts will go down in vain. This is why we got to change our mindset from the oppressor. Like I think I heard you say about getting out that slave mentality. We got to change our mindset, brother, to get away from that crap. While all this in-house fighting with us going on, we got to change our mindset. How we look at each other, how we view each other, and all that. We got to turn all that around. Because this slavery got us in that situation to where it's just like, and I hate to put it like this, because I know it's going to offend some people when I say this, but it got us in a retarded vegetable state, even over 400 years. And that's just a fact. There's no other people on this planet Earth, not even the Africans, the black immigrants, facing that. We are under a retarded vegetable state where we had everything stripped from us to the ground, butt naked. You see what I'm saying? And to where the only thing we can do is rely on the European for our sustenance. And we got to get out of that. We got to come all the way up out of that. If, like I say, we gonna take control of our destiny and keep control of our destiny. And it's just that simple. We got this, because we ain't no different than the oppressor. Once we do take control of a state and do the same things that the oppressor do, discriminate, especially if somebody a homosexual, let's say, or if somebody is a transvestite or something, let's discriminate against them, where they deserve to be, delivered from an oppressor too, just like we do. You see what I'm saying? And if we can't of course, we don't like each other's lifestyles or the way we live. Then once we're in Mississippi, we could go to another part of the city or state. Well, we ain't got to be around those people or each other or certain other people that we don't want to be around. But we got to get free. Let's get free first. You see what I'm saying? And then we could deal with those issues. You know what I'm saying? Like they say, it didn't take a day to build Rome. You see what I'm saying? And with this project, it's not going to take a day to build on that. So we got to, we got to deal with this situation. You see what I'm saying? Effectively. And we don't have too much time. We may not have no time left at all because of what's working, the forces that's working against us as a people in this country. You see? But, brother, keep coming back on our panels. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'll make my presence known. I mean, it's all I can do, really. Be honest.
Yes, sir.
I keep hearing it, and yeah, I agree with that last part of your statement that time has been up. Time has been up a long time ago. Our backs are against the wall. There is no fight or flight. It's only fight. That's my personal opinion. Yeah, we've got no other direction that we can go. Our backs are on the wall. What are we going to do about it?
And this is what we coming from the Operation Exodus Mississippi campaign platform. Stop talking and let's make something happen. And
to Sister Noble's point, the other part that I get out of that article that she wrote is how are we going to change the mindset of our black men, ourselves? We've already had a ton of opposition for us as black men. We already established the fact that the whole system essentially was put against us. All right, that's cool. Got it. Understand that. But are we going to continue letting it dictate how we do our parenting? Are we going to let it dictate to us how? Hold on a sec. Are we going to let it dictate to us how we allow ourselves to be represented? I say no, personally. But how do you combat that? How do you change that? That's the big question right there. We're dealing with all these different, not at this point, not even stereotypes. This is essentially what is being broadcast everywhere. All of our dirty laundry is being put out on display on purpose, and not because we want our dirty laundry being displayed, but it's profitable to the media and other folks to air out black folks' dirty laundry. All of our stereotypes is what exactly is popular. As a matter of fact, anything and everything that we create, whether it be positive or negative, is still profitable. But not to us, to everyone else. This is our understanding of what whitewashing really is. This is our understanding of what black women have always been to the marketplace. You want to know what the first form of currency was? Well, first form of currency in this country was black woman. Are we still in that mindset? More than likely, yes. But it's not just us that is profiting on this. Black women have come up with something that is strictly for their survival. It becomes profitable and then it gets taken. Their intellectual property is stolen. and we do nothing to stop it. It's really not too much that we can do half the time. But then we again, we keep getting put up against the wall and getting sucker punched every time. Well, how many more punches we got? How many cheeks do you continue to have to keep turning? That's a shot at religion. Don't mind me. That's me poking at religion. But I'm just expounding on some of this stuff. I'm just venting, if you will. Got entirely too much on our plates. And honestly, we've got the appetite to deal with it. We just got to actually start getting more hungry and wanting to see real change. But again, that's just going to lead back to us talking about the movement and whatnot, and not really getting to what the issue was, with my disagreement with what I heard in the article. And I just wanted to make sure that I don't come across as being I don't know, vicious, mean, just being an ass, and trying to be disagreeable. I'm really not trying to be disagreeable. I'm just trying to establish what exactly I'm hearing in the article. I don't really mean to be offensive. Just wanted to share. And that would be me digressing.
Okay, yes, thanks, brother, for expressing that point. And I just what is it gonna take? Sometimes I ask the questions, what is it gonna take? But I definitely do know one thing. We got a star to call Operation Exodus Mississippi. So I employed everybody among the 40-some million, those that will adhere to this, to come along and board the soul train, and let's get the liberation. And let's stop playing with our future. Let's stop playing with our future generations' future, because this is serious. Man, I don't, I just, I'm 50, I'm going on 53. I don't know how much time I got on this planet. I lived over half a century. And I would love to see some signs of togetherness with us being in a power position, or no longer being the tail, but being the head, as someone would say, And I just, want us to be free of all this madness. And I mean, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of us to move away from around each other, not out of self-hatred, as the narrative has been shaped over the years, especially by the pro-Black conscious community. It's out of frustration, It's out of frustration. And we don't like what we see going on among each other, so we get the hell out the way. And I'm not going to sit up here and judge those, as I said early on this panel, that do that, Hey, because it's either about living or dying when it comes to that. We see what we see. Those that are open and really awoke or conscious, as you say you are, you see it. And, when you criticize other Black people that do that, then you know, you pointing, as they used to say in Islam, 3 fingers at yourself. Because, first of all, you're not doing nothing to create a situation where Black people don't have to move and go away from around other Black people. You see what I'm saying? So we have to understand that. This is why we have to take control of a state, so we can make that possible by creating a situation where Black people would love to come around and be back around other Black people, as it may have been once in a time among some of our ancestors when things were more, you know, put together as a community, like with the situation in Tulsa, like with the situation in Rosewood. You know what I'm saying? Where they had their own, what they call Black settlements coming out of slavery and stuff like that, you know? And so, I mean, you know, we're going to have to, you know, make that happen. And it's going to have to be on a greater level to where we take control and govern ourselves, where we ain't got to depend on, you know what I'm saying, the Caucasians, you see. We ain't got to depend on the Caucasians or the slave master. You know, and whereas, you know, we will be able to, at that point, then govern ourselves without any interruptions. And that's why I say it's important that we change our mindset of thinking like the oppressor for this to become an actual reality. So, I mean, it is what it is. And as someone would say once again, and on that note, I rest my mic. Peace.
Okay, well, with that being said, I'm going to end this live stream. Thank you guys for contributing your views and your concerns and everything, you know, that deals with our current problems as a people in this country. And I'm going to end on that note. I need you guys to check out Operation Exodus Mississippi on YouTube. Go and check it out and subscribe and share to Operation Exodus Mississippi. Also, go to Reality's Temple on Earth Internet Ministry and subscribe and share. Subscribe and share this video tonight. You know, subscribe and share this video. Also, check out my latest essays. My latest essays at blackpoliticalmedia.blogspot.com. Also, purchase my book, God is on Trial. If you have not already, God is on Trial. Just go to Amazon. It is available at Amazon Kindle for $3.99. You can download it on your phone, or you can purchase the paperback, only $13.99. God is on Trial. Type in my full name. Okay, and if you would like to donate to my Cash App, here is the Cash App, $Alberta 41. Thank you guys for tuning in, and let me check out these latest comments here in the chat room. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but anyway, ain't no poly over here. Yeah, sister, ain't no poly over here. Ain't no poly over here. Don't do polygyny. I don't do polygyny. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do come to disrupt the live stream. Never come to this channel. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, nobody interrupted anything tonight. You know, and I am happy about that. But I am going to end this live stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good night.